Now, you've probably seen this tool all over the internet. So here are some celebs using it. I use this tool. You've probably used this tool. Some of the people that you're following probably use this tool. And maybe the next link that you click is probably managed by this tool. And what exactly is the tool that we are talking about? So this is your typical link tracker and analytics server. It's very, very useful when it comes to tracking your links and giving you valuable and actionable information. Now, one of the more popular tools is called Linktree, and this is the tool right here that's used by Katy Perry. And if you go to the tool's website right here, you can see that this tool gives you a very, very simple and a very quick way to build a mini website composed of various links. And the best part of it all is that when people click on any one of these links, you can see exactly what's happening in the backend. So you will know how many people clicked on, let's say, this link, how many people clicked on this link, where are the people from, etc., etc. And so as you can see, this is a very, very versatile tool because it gives the user exactly what they want. So the user can easily create a very, very quick website, essentially their presence on the internet, and then they can see which links are being clicked, who is clicking them, etc., etc. And in today's video, we're going to be building exactly such tool using my favorite no-code tool, Flutterflow. Now, some people have said that you can't build a tool such as this one with Flutterflow because of various limitations, but in fact, you can actually build this tool very, very easily, as you're going to see in today's video. Now, before we get started, as always, the app that I'm going to be building in today's video is going to be available for you to view and or clone from my Patreon page. And you can learn all about our amazing Patreon community with all of its benefits via the link just below the video. Now, once you create an account and log in, you're going to be on a page that looks something like this. Now, on the top nav bar here, you have various things that you can configure. First, you have the links. You can also customize your appearance. You have the analytics and you have the settings. So the most important things when it comes to this tool is the links and the analytics, because we can easily create multiple links and display them all on one page. And then we can easily track what exactly is happening with those links. Are people clicking on them? You know, who are the people that are clicking on them, etc., etc. So for instance, let's say I want to create a new link. I can just put, let's say, google.com right here, click on add, and I have one link created here, okay? And my link appears right here. So let's say I create another link, and let's say this is going to be, I don't know, news.com or something generic. It went ahead and created this link, and now this link is right here. Now, once I've created the link, there's various things that I can do with it. The first one being that I can disable it. So I can just click here, and that link is now disabled, and it doesn't appear here anymore. I can enable it, and that link is going to be right there. Now, another really powerful feature of this tool is the analytics. So if you take a look at the links that we have here, we have 0 clicks, okay? So this is like a, a general summary, okay? So this link was never clicked. And obviously, if I publish this and I click on the link or somebody clicks on the link, this is going to increase. But another thing that I can do is I can go to analytics right here and I can get a deeper understanding of what exactly is happening with my link. So I have views, I have clicks, I have CTR, which is the click-through rate. I also have revenue, subscribers, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things that I can track. There's a lot of information that's available to me in terms of what's happening with the links. There's also geographic information and stuff like that. And so in today's video, what I want to do is I want to show you how you can build a link tracking and analytics software. And obviously you can build a standalone tool such as this one. But another thing that you can do is you can take that knowledge that you're going to learn in today's video and you can use that in some of your bigger apps. So maybe you're building a social media platform and you need to track which links are getting clicked. You want to give the users analytics, or maybe you're building ad serving software and you obviously need to have some kind of link tracking there as well. And so the tips and techniques that I'm going to be covering in today's video are going to be useful to you regardless of whether you're building a standalone app or this is going to be features and functionality as part of a much bigger app as well. Now, before we get started, I want to show you a quick architecture diagram of this app that we're going to be building. So this is our link tracker and analytics service tool. And what's going to happen here is that a user is going to log in. We're going to have obviously user authentication, and they're going to be on their dashboard. Now on the dashboard, they're going to see a list of their existing links if they have any. Okay. And from then on, they can also create, update, and delete various links. So they're going to have this full, link management functionality right here. They're also going to have an analytics tab, two different views. So they're going to have a summary view, meaning that they're going to have their links and it's going to display like the total number of clicks. But if they want, they can click and go to the detail view. And in the detail view, they're going to have more detailed information when it comes to analytics. So for instance, they're going to see maybe how many times the link was clicked today, how many times it was clicked yesterday, maybe last month, maybe last year, things like that. Additionally, I also want to give them some kind of a chart view. So for instance, maybe they want to see how many times the link was clicked this month or in the past 30 days or something like that. Now, once the user adds their links and creates their little mini web page, anytime the user clicks on the link, they're going to be redirected to the external site right here. And this is the part that a lot of people are not sure how to implement with Flutter Flow. And fortunately, there is a quick and easy way of doing just that. All right, so now that you've seen the architecture diagram, let's go ahead and start building the app. So here I am logged into Flutter Flow and I'm going to create a new app and I'm going to call it link tracker. Okay, we're going to say create blank right here. We're going to set up Firebase because we need to be able to store all of that information somewhere. We're going to click on next step. The next thing that you need to do is you need to connect your existing Firebase project to your Flutter Flow app. So if I go into my Firebase console, I already have an existing project that I use for different projects. And so I'm going to be connecting this specific project to my Flutter Flow app. So once I've created this project here, I can just go to the gear icon, project settings, and copy this project ID here. Come back here and click connect. Next thing I want to do is I want to click on auto generate config files for this app. This is very, very important. All right, this is done. Next, I want to enable authentication and I want to create the user collection. This is important because we are going to be doing user login. Okay, we want to track which are the links that belong to a specific user so that they're separate. Next thing we need to do is we need to set up our initial pages. Okay, so this is our login page here. So I'm going to click right here. I'm going to go into auth and I'm going to select my login page. Now I like this login page, which is the login page that I use for my project. I'm going to say use this login page. I'm going to call it login create page. And for the logged in page, this is going to be the dashboard page. Okay. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blank page and I'm going to call it home page. Okay. Create page. Next, I'm going to click on start building. Okay. Now I have an error here. So I want to fix that real quick. And if I select this, the problem here is that this login template does not have a second field that I need for account creation. So this is a bug with Flutter Flow's templates here. So all I need to do is select password, click duplicate, and I want to rename this to password. Click here, select this error, and then this confirm password field, I'm going to put password 2. So now I should not have any errors whatsoever. Okay, so now I can run this app and I should be greeted with a login page here. Okay, so let's wait for this app to compile and to load. All right, so this is our app. As you can see, we are being shown by default the login screen. And the reason for that is because we haven't logged in yet. If we log in, we're going to be seeing the homepage screen. So let me go ahead and create an account here so that we can see how it works once the user is logged in. So I'm going to create an account right here. Now, if I start typing, as you can see, I don't see what I'm typing. I'm typing James something, but I do not see anything. And that is because this is another minor bug with this specific template. And what we need to do is go back to the app, select email, scroll down right here, and where it says text color, we need to change it. You can change it to primary text, and same thing for the password. Select primary text, and for the second password as well. And now if you click on instant reload, we should see our text as we type it on the create account page. All right, so now when I type, I can actually see my text. So let me go ahead and create a new user account right here. So I'm going to say james3@james.com, just put some password in there, click on get started. And now, as you can see, we have logged in correctly, and that account has been created for us. And so if we go back to our Flutterflow builder and go to the home page, you can see that it says page title, and this says page title. And so we've logged in and we're seeing this home page. And so now that we've confirmed that the app builds, it runs, the next thing that we need to do is we need to set up our Firestore schema. We need to configure how we are going to be storing the data. And what you want to do is you want to go into Firestore right here, and you want to configure your schema. Now, Flutterflow was nice enough to create this users collection here, but we still need other collections for our app. Now, the next collection I want to create is going to be our links collection. So I'm going to say create, and I'm going to start from scratch. Now, what kind of information do we want to store for links? Well, the first thing we need to store is we need to store the name of the link. Okay, so when the user actually creates a link, they can give it a name and the URL. Okay, so if we go back here, we're going to say name, and we're going to say this is going to be a string. Next, we want to create a URL. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to do string. And we also need to make sure that this link is assigned to a user. Okay, it's not just like a random link floating in space. It needs to be connected to a user. And so the way we do that is we say user ref. And here what we do is we go to document reference and we say users. Okay, so each link is going to have a reference back to the users, which is its owner, right? It's going to have this kind of ownership. Okay, so now we have name, URL, and user ref, which is good enough to kind of get started with. But we also need to store analytics, right? We need to be able to store how many times that link was clicked and when it was clicked, etc., etc. Now, for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sub collection called analytics or stats. And this is going to be a sub collection of links. So we're going to do that, start from scratch. And here, what we need to do is we need to track how many times that link was clicked, but not only like when it was clicked, etc., etc. And there's going to be more information as we build out the app. Okay. Now I want to be able to track when exactly this link was clicked. And so what I'm going to add is a timestamp. Okay. So if we go to data type, we're going to say date and time. Okay. And so right now, each document here is going to come with a timestamp. We don't need to track the actual click because the actual click is going to be a timestamp. Okay. And later on, we can add more information as to, stuff that we need to be associated with that click. Right now, we just have timestamp, and that's enough to get started. That's actually perfectly enough to get started. And so now we have kind of the beginning of our schema, of our app's schema. So we have the users, and we have the links, and we have a stats sub collection. That's a sub collection of the links collection. Okay, so for each of the link, we're going to have a collection of different clicks that we can easily associate it back to a specific link that the user created. So the next thing we want to do is we want to check any warnings, and it says Firestore rules are not deployed, have not been deployed. So if we click here and scroll down, what we have here is we have various permissions. So let's double check our permissions. So create links. Everyone can create links. Everyone can write links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say everyone just to keep things consistent, and delete. I'm just going to put, and here you can put authenticated users, but I'm just going to put everyone. Now, when I'm developing the app, I typically like to put everyone to make sure that everything works. And then later on, I tighten up the permissions. Okay. So this right here is sensitive or private data. So I'm going to unselect this. Okay, and I'm gonna click on deploy. Deploy now, and that should deploy. And as you can see, it says deployed. This is now deployed. So our permissions look good. We don't have any errors. We don't have any warnings. And now we can continue to build. Now let's build out the homepage. And this is going to be the interface where the users can create their links. They can update links, they can delete links, etc., etc. So the first thing I want to do is I want to be able to list the existing links. So we're going to select the column, click here, type list view, expand this, and we're going to add a row. And then we're going to add the widgets that we want to display inside of the row. So these are going to be text widgets for now. Now, what kind of information do we want to display? Well, if we go back to our Linktree admin, you see how it's displaying the name of the link, the actual URL, and also there's a toggle here, and then you have this delete thing. And in fact, I really like this way of displaying it, right? It's going to be kind of boring to display them in that typical kind of list view with all this stuff. And so why don't we try to mimic this UI here? I really, really like this UI. And so let's see if we can try to get it to look as close as possible to what we're seeing right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the text, I'm going to delete the row, and I'm going to add a container. Okay, so I'm going to add a container. And what I want to do is inside of the container, I want to have that various information. But the nice thing about the container is that I can style it. I can style it exactly how I want. So for instance, I can give it some padding. So I can do that. And now I have nice padding around it. The other thing that I can do with a container is I can do a border radius. So let's say a 10 border radius, right? And now you see that border radius, right? Kind of nice. We can also give it a border, and we can also give it a box shadow, right? So if we give it a box shadow, that looks really, really nice. And let's go ahead and give it a border as well. So here's a border width, and now we have a border. So that looks kind of similar to what we have here. So here there's no border, but you have a relatively big radius here, this curve there. So let's go ahead and do that. And let me make the border radius a little bit bigger, maybe 20. Okay, so something like this, and we can remove the border later on. Now, inside of this, we have various information, and right away, we kind of have two columns. So we have this one column, and we have another column. So let's go ahead and divide this into two columns here, where I'm going to create a column. And so I'm going to create a row first, and inside the row, I'm going to create two columns. Okay, so now we have two columns. So this column, what we want to do is we want to expand it, right? We want to expand it to the maximum, because this column doesn't need to take a lot of space, okay? So if we go back, you can see that this column is taking up the bulk of the space. Now, in this column, we're going to have two rows. So we're going to have the name and the URL. And then in this column, we're going to have various things as well. So I'm going to create the rows for this column first. Okay, so now we have two rows here. And in fact, what I want to do is I want this column to be kind of centered like this, right? So it doesn't align all the way to the top here. And I'm going to do the same for this column as well. So something like this. Now here, what I want to do is I want to have the name. Here, I want to have the URL. Okay. So we can also center that as well. So something like this, but I think padding, left padding is going to look better. Something like that. Okay. That looks pretty good. And for the second column, let's go ahead and see what we have here. So we have this share icon. That is something we might implement a little bit later. But the main one that I want to implement is this delete one. I think that is really the most important one. So if we come over here, what I can do is I can search for an icon button, and let's go ahead and find the correct button. So delete maybe. Yeah, that looks good. So something like this. And there's also a border radius. We don't really need that. Fill color. We don't really need that. Border width. We don't really need that. All right. So now we have the button right here. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of padding from the right. So something like this. All right, so now we have this icon button right here that's going to be responsible for deleting this specific link. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to load up the links from our database, right? So if we click on the list view, come over here, we can add a backend query collection. We're going to be doing links, okay? So now, as you can see, we have it all being repeated. And now we can configure the individual text widgets here. So the first one I want to do is the name, links document name. This is going to be the link document URL. And so now if we have some data in the database and we run the app, we should see these links be displayed. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to have an ability to add links. And so for now, let's go ahead and add a create button up on top. So we can click here, choose this button right here. Let's go ahead, put it up on top here, and let's give it a little bit of padding from the top, and let's just call it add link. Okay, maybe we'll change that later on, but right now I just want to make sure that things work as expected. Now, the way that I want this to work is I want to have a pop-up that when they click on this, there's going to be a pop-up that they can fill out information. Okay, so they're not going to go to a different page. It's just going to be like a dialog box. And the way that we want to do it is we want to do it with a component. Okay, so if I click on new component here, I'm just going to create a blank component, and I'm going to call this create a link. So now we have a component right here, and we can add different information. So first I want to add a container right here, and I want to give it an infinite width, infinite height, and then inside a container, I'm going to add a column so that we can add multiple elements there. And now I'm going to add my widgets. Okay, so I'm going to type text, get my text widget here. And I also want to have a submit, some kind of a button here. Next, I'm going to have another widget here. This is going to be the name, the URL, and then a button. Okay, so something simple just to make sure everything works. And this container, let's go ahead and give it a little bit of padding. So, okay, that looks nice. Let's give it let's style it a little bit. Let's do a border radius of 15. No, that's 20. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Okay, that looks kind of cool. We might need to do more padding inside, and we'll do that in just a second. But right now, what we have is we have a form. Let's do a little bit of padding here. So something like this. And okay, so this is going to be our input, and this is going to be our input URL. Okay, so let's change the labels. Right. Next, I want to remove that bottom border or whatever that is, because I'm not a huge fan of it. So let me go ahead. Let's change this underline to none. This underline to none as well. Okay, that looks better. And let's give it a little bit of top padding. Yeah, something like this. Okay. And now when they type that information, we're going to create a link, put it into the database, right? So for that, we're going to click on the button, come in here, add an action, and the action is going to be create document. Collection is links, add fields, going to be from variable name, widget state, input name, URL, from variable state URL. We also want to dismiss it, right? We want to dismiss it. We want to dismiss this component, right? So if we come over here and we go to widget UI interactions, bottom sheet. Okay, so now it's going to dismiss itself. But we also need to add the user. So we're going to add the user reference here. And the user is going to be the authenticated user reference here. And that way it knows who is responsible for that actual link, who owns the link. So now we go back to our main homepage here and we come over here. We want to load that bottom sheet, show, select component, the only component we have. All right, let's go ahead and run the app and see if that behavior works as expected. So this is our app without any of the links. So let's see if we can create a new link, and let's see if that link is going to be displayed right here. So I'm going to click here. And we have the pop-up. Unfortunately, it takes up the whole screen. We need to fix that. I'm going to show you how you can fix that in just a second. But let's go ahead and create a new link. So for the name, I'm just going to put Google. And the link is going to be google.com. Click on create. Okay, so it created it and it dismissed itself. And now, as you can see, this link is right here. And if we go to our database, we should have a new record. So let me go ahead and refresh my database here. And I have this links right here. So if I click on links, I have this document here, and this is this one link, right? And as you can see, it's Google, etc., etc. And this is the user reference. Now I have a lot of collections. You can ignore them, right? I was using them for other projects, but this one is the main one, links. And this user, as you can see, it's users RFME. And if I go into users, I should have multiple users, and this is the user in question. This is RFME. This is my account that I'm logged in with, james3@james.com, okay? So if we go back to our app, as you can see, it works perfectly. Everything works, and it kind of looks like to what the real app looks like, right? So you have this news, the name, you have the URL, and you also have the delete right here. Now you have this inline editing here, and that is something that we're going to implement as well. But right now, let's implement a couple of other things. Next, I want to implement delete, and I also want to do lifetime clicks as well for the general kind of summary stats view. All right, so let's go back to our app and let's do delete. So if you click this, this is very, very simple. Action, add an action, and you want to type delete. Delete document, select the reference, and this is going to be this links document reference. So we're going to be deleting itself. And if you do that, inside the app, this is going to disappear automatically. So if I reload the app to to pull in the new changes, you're going to see how that works. All right, so this is our link, and if I click this, it's gone. Okay, and it deletes itself from the database as well. Go to links, and we don't have any links anymore. So let's go ahead and create another link that we have something. Let's go put Google and google.com back, create link, and there it is. It's back there again. Now, the next thing I want to do is there's a couple of things I want to do. First, I want to fix this whole thing, right? I want to make sure it doesn't take up the whole screen. So let's go ahead and fix that component. Click here, click on the component. And what you want to do is you want to select the column, right, which is the enclosing element that contains all of these widgets, these input fields on the button. And you want to change the access size from maximum amount of size to minimum, right? We don't want to have it take up the whole amount, right? The maximum amount. We only want it to take up as much as it needs. And because it minimized, we need to give it some extra padding. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of padding on the button right here so that the button is not squished. Okay, so that looks better. Okay, so now if we reload the app, it should appear at the bottom, right? It's not going to appear, it's not going to take up the whole screen. This is a bottom slider, right? So let's go ahead and reload the app. All right, add link, and as you can see, it only appears at the bottom of the screen. It doesn't take up the entire real estate. Okay, and we also have this nice padding here. We need to have more padding as well, right? So this name URL, we need to have a little bit more padding. We're going to fix that later really, really elegantly. So definitely stay tuned for that. So now we have create link, we have delete here. And the next thing I want to do is I want to add this little, zero clicks, this little thing right here. I want to do that because we're going to be doing analytics as well. We're going to be displaying analytics. So this is a nice start, kind of get started there. Okay, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to go back to our main page and let's see where it's displayed. So it's actually displayed below. It's actually another row and we can do that. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do here is this row right here, we have a column. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this row here. And this right here is going to display the total number of clicks. Okay, and how do we do that? Well, remember we have that sub-collection, that stats sub-collection that's available for every link document. That's a collection of documents, essentially a collection of clicks with the timestamp value. Now, what you want to do is you want to select text where we're going to be displaying the number of clicks. And you want to click here and you want to add a backend query. Okay, query collection, stats. Value source is going to be the links document. So we're going to do reference here. We only want the count. So that's perfect, right? We're going to say count, confirm. And then at this level, we can come over here, click here. And what we want to do is we don't want the URL. We want the stats count. It's available, right? We can format it, etc., etc. And now we are going to have the stats count. Okay. So let's go ahead and reload it. And let's see if that stats count is being displayed correctly. And here's our new app. And as you can see, we have Google, we have the URL, and we have 0 now. And so here it says 0 clicks. And so what we need to do is this is going to have the count and this is going to say clicks. So I'm going to say clicks. And this is going to be stats count. And now it says 0 clicks. So if we reload this, All right, so now it says 0 clicks, okay? And so now what we have is we're displaying a list of links. We can delete the individual link. We have just some general, overall kind of stats information. So how many clicks. Now, this comprehensive tutorial is brought to you by Mastering Flutterflow, which is my comprehensive, no holds barred Flutterflow training. When you join Mastering Flutterflow, you're going to have access to constantly updated content that's going to walk you step by step, hand in hand, through each of Flutterflow's important features. And after each of the modules, you're going to gain more and more confidence when it comes to building any kind of no-code apps, whether it's very, very simple apps or very, very complex apps. Absolutely nothing is spared inside the training. Additionally, when you join Mastering Flutterflow, you're going to gain access to our private Discord community, where myself and other members of our community will be more than happy to help you with any kind of issues you're going to have, whether it's something covered in the training or something having to do with the app that you're setting out to build. If all of that sounds good to you, I sincerely hope to see you inside the training. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add some editing functionality. Okay, so I want to be able to edit any of this information for any of the links. And so let's go ahead and create another action button here. That's going to be for editing. Okay, so I'm going to say icon button right here, and we're going to change this button, and let's see if we can find something editing. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Yeah, maybe something like this. And in fact, the easiest way is to simply duplicate this button right here and change it. So I'm going to leave delete on the bottom, and this is going to be the editing functionality. Going to come here. This is going to be edit. Okay, and that looks really, really cool. Okay, I really like this icon. It looks perfect. And now what is this icon gonna do? Well, what's it gonna do is it's gonna create another pop-up that's gonna be pre-filled with information. When the user clicks on save, it's gonna update the information. And so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create another component, this update component. I'm just gonna duplicate it, and I'm going to change it. This is going to be update link component here. And this component is going to accept various parameters. Okay, so it's going to have a parameter for the name and the parameter for the URL, right? So this is name and URL. So these are going to be both strings. Okay, and they're both required, obviously. Okay, confirm. Okay, and so now what we're going to have is we know we are getting those parameters. And so we can have an initial value. There's the initial value, and we're going to use the component parameters. This is the URL. Next, we're going to update this to update link. Now, we also need to make sure that we're passing the reference of the link, the document reference as well, because that way we can update the information. So we're going to add another parameter. This is going to be called a link ref, and we're going to say this is a document reference. Links, it's also required, and that way we can easily update it. And so we can click on this update here, change how it works, and instead of create document, we're going to say update document reference. This is going to be link reference, and now we can update the field. So name is going to be updated with the widget state. URL is going to be updated state URL. And that's about it. And then it dismisses itself. Perfect. Okay. So the component is now done. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're passing the information. Click on this icon button, and this is no longer delete. In fact, we are just displaying the component, right? So this is going to be this show bottom sheet. Show, select component, update. It says copy. We need to fix that. And now we need to pass the parameters, right? So name. Now, name is the name, URL is the URL. These are the default values, URL, and the link reference is the link ref. Let me see, this copy needs to go away. Let me update that real quick. Okay, there it is. All right, let's see if that works. And let's say we want to update Google to. We click update, but it does not reflect the new change. So something is not working correctly. So let's double check what's happening. Click on update. Click on this back and call. We have this, and if we click this, you see it's taking it the parameters. So it's taking the original values. We don't want the original values. We want the values that the user entered. So we need to modify this, and we need to make sure that it's actually widget state input name here. And this URL is also widget state. Widget state. Let's go ahead and reload that. All right, there's the app. Click on edit. Let's say Google 2 update. And now you can see it's instantly updated to Google 2. Say we update that Google 2 and it's automatically updated. Okay, so this functionality works. The number of clicks work, the edit, the delete, everything works exactly as expected. In fact, we can add a new link. Let's say this is news.com, create link. And now we see news.com right here and Google below it. Okay, so all of this works perfectly as expected. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to have a home page that displays these links. And most importantly, when somebody clicks on the link, we want to track the link click there. Okay, this is very, very important. Now, a lot of people say that you can't do this with Flutterflow. They say that there's no built-in way of being able to generate these links and then tracking when somebody clicks on these links, etc., etc. And while they're right, there's really no built-in Flutterflow way of generating these URLs and having being able to track when somebody clicks on this link. I'm going to be showing you a very, very elegant out-of-the-box solution that's going to help you to do just that. Now, in order to create this redirection functionality, what we need to do is we need to create a new page. So I'm going to create a new page and I'm going to say create blank and I'm going to call this page go URL. Okay, this is going to be our redirection. Next, I'm going to change this text to something else. I'm going to say redirecting. Now, the way that this page is going to work is when we give this page to the user as a URL and they click on this page is going to automatically redirect to a specific URL. Now, for this page to understand which link to redirect to, we are going to be giving it a certain parameter. And more specifically, we're going to be giving it a URL reference parameter. The next thing I need to do is I need to go to page parameters here, and I want to make sure this page accepts a certain parameter. So we're going to add a parameter, and the parameter that we're going to be sending to this page is going to be the link reference. Okay, so I'm just going to say link ref, and I'm going to come here, I'm going to pick document reference and links. Okay, this is required. Okay, I'm going to say confirm. And so this page expects a link document reference, and that way it will figure out where to redirect the user because it still needs to get the URL of the link. And the next thing we need to do is we need to change our route settings. So the name of the page is called go URL, but we also needed to understand where to go. And for that, if you hover over, you will see that you need to specify it in this format. So user and then the parameters. I'm going to come here, I'm going to put a slash, and I'm going to put link ref. Okay, and so the format is going to be go URL slash and then the reference of that link. And that way it's going to figure out what the link is all about. More specifically, what is the URL? Okay. And so now this page accepts this parameter. But to show you how the redirection is going to work, what you can do is go to the top level, come over here, actions, and you want to add a new action. You want to scroll down. You want to create a custom action, create a new action. And the action is going to be called redirect. We're going to click here, copy to editor. Now for the actual redirection, we're going to be using this package here. It's a very, very popular package. In fact, it's actually built in with Flutterflow, so you do not need any special dependencies. And all you need to do is copy this code right here. Okay, copy this code, go back to your app, put this code right here. Next, you want to do is you want to copy this right here and go back to this example here. And you want to do is copy this right here. Copy this right here. And so what's going to happen here, this custom action is going to redirect to this URL here. Okay, this is going to be just for testing, but in our app, we're going to be passing a specific parameter. So we're going to define the parameter and we're going to call it URL. This is going to be string, not going to be nullable. And we're going to add this parameter right here. And that way we can just pass that parameter directly here. And so that way, whatever the parameter that we pass, that is where it's going to redirect the user to. Okay, and so we're going to say save action. And now that we save the action, we are going to put just a sample URL. So I'm going to put Flutter Dev here. And so when this page loads, it's going to execute this custom action and it's going to redirect them to the URL that we specify, which is flutter.dev. But in production, it's going to actually look up the actual link that we passed in this link reference, pull up the URL and then redirect to that URL, and also track that link as well, do some tracking. But right now I want to show you how it works in terms of testing. So we're going to come here and we're going to compile this custom widget. And so for testing, we can go to the home page and we can set it up so that if the user clicks on the URL, it's going to redirect them to that URL. Okay, just to show you how it works. So we can select this URL right here, add an action, and we're going to be doing navigate to this go URL here. And here we're going to pass the existing link reference here, and it's going to redirect the user to the URL that we specify, which is flutter.dev. Later on, it's actually going to pull this URL from the link reference and redirect them to the specific URL. But right now, I just want to show you how it works. And we're going to go back here, create a new session, and see if the app works as expected. All right, so here's our app, and this time these links are clickable. And so if you click on any of these links, it's going to redirect to that go URL page, and that page in turn is going to redirect to that final destination URL. So if you click on news.com, it redirects to Flutter.dev. And if we go back, we click on Google, it redirects to Flutter.dev. So as you can see, our redirection mechanism is working perfectly, except we need to make sure that it actually redirects to the specific URL and also tracks the click as well. And so for that, we're going to go to this go URL, click here, and we're going to beef up our flows here, right? So we're going to add up some new things to the flow. And so as you can see, it redirects to Flutter.dev, but we want to make sure that it's going to be redirecting to the actual URL. So for that, we need to find the URL. So we're going to add an action. We're going to type query, and we're going to query our links, right? We just need a single document, and we're going to be filtering by the user ref. Now, as you can see, we can't quite filter by the actual link ref. We only have name, URL, and user ref. It would have been nice if Flutterflow allowed us to automatically filter by the built-in user ref, but unfortunately we can't do that. And so what we need to do is we need to add another field in the schema here, and so that we can by that link reference. So I'm going to call it link ref here, and I'm going to call it a string. Okay, and so that way, you know, there's going to be an implicit reference, which is a document reference, but here it's going to be a link reference that we are going to be storing on the link, and that way we can query it. Okay, it's a little bit of extra work, but that is something we have to do. Maybe in the future, Flutterflow is going to add this functionality automatically for free, but it's not the case right now. So let's go ahead and change how our app works. If we open this up, we first need to query, and now we can filter by, you know, by the link ref. We can filter it, and we're going to say equal to, and we're actually passing the parameter this time, right? We're passing it, and we'll be able to query on this parameter here. Now we can also change the type of parameter that this page expects, because we have this link ref here. So we can just say this is a string. Okay, confirm required. So now when we create a new link, we need to make sure that we are creating that field there as well. And so when we create this document, we want to update it with the reference that we got back. So I'm going to say new link ref. And now when we update it, update document, reference to update, this is action outputs, reference here, we can add the field. This is going to be this link ref, and then it's going to be from variable, action outputs, new link ref. This is going to be reference. Okay, so now when we create the document, we're going to be updating it with the newly created reference as well. So, all right, let's take a look and see what's happening. We got an error here. Let's quickly fix it. Passing link ref here. What else we got? Filters. Okay, so now we can actually filter it correctly, okay? So we're going to query the document. We're going to set the filter, but we have link ref. And so that means we can filter it by the parameter now, okay? Confirm. And now we can get the link information that was passed to that redirection. And so now we have all the information about the link that the user intends to go to, right? We have the name, we have the URL, etc., etc. Now we can redirect the user to the correct link. So we can come over here. Here we're going to output the results. So this is going to be link out. And here we can go back and we have this action outputs, link out. and we have the URL. So we know the URL. We're going to put the URL. And so now let's see if it works. Let's see if we are actually redirecting the user to the link that they intend to go, not to some static hard-coded link. Okay, let's go ahead and reload the app. All right, so here's the app. So let's go ahead and create a new link so that that link ref is populated properly. And then we'll try to go to that link. So we're going to say Google 3. This is going to be google.com. Okay, so now we have Google 3 right here. Let's see how that link looks like. So these are the links. Okay, so Google 3, and this is the link ref. And as you can see, it's the same reference here. So now we can filter by this link and get the URL. Okay, so now click on this one. It should hopefully redirect it correctly. So if we click here, there it is, and we have been redirected to Google. Now let's try another link. Add the link, and I'm gonna say name is news3, news.com, and there's news3 right here. Now if I click on this, it looks it up and it redirects it to news.com. Okay, so as you can see, our link redirection mechanism works perfectly. There's one last thing that we need to do, and that is we need to be able to track the actual click, and that is actually very, very easy to do. Let's go back to the app. It's going to be done inside of this Go URL. This is our kind of the brain of the app. This is this main tracking subsystem, and it's all done as a top level action set, actions at this top level of the page. Essentially, when the page loads, we're doing a lot of things. So we're querying, we're redirecting, and we also want to make sure that we add a click to that sub collection. Okay, so we're going to do create. We're going to do create document. It's going to be stats. It's going to be action. Here it's going to be action outputs. This is the link reference, confirm, and we only have one field, which is a timestamp. That is, what we care about right now. Obviously, we can add more fields later. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say current time. All right, let's go ahead and reload our project. All right, so let's check out this news3 link. Let's click on this. We are redirected, but did we actually track the link click? Let's click on news. And we have this stats subcollection. Click on stats subcollection. We have a click document, and we have the timestamp, the current timestamp. So now you know that it tracked the link click. And if we go back to the app, we should see this one click here. So one clicks. We should obviously fix that. It should be one click or two clicks, etc., etc. But at least it works. Let me click again. We're back to news.com, go back, and we have two clicks. Okay, so as you can see, the main thing now, right, this clicking mechanism, this tracking mechanism is working perfectly. And a lot of people say that you can't really do this with Flutterflow. Well, you can do anything that you want with Flutterflow if you think about it a little bit and think of something out of the box. You can do a lot of things with Flutterflow that are not necessarily built into Flutterflow, right? You can still do them one way or another. Okay, so now we have this really nice kind of dashboard, and we have these clicks, and we can modify them, right? We can change it to news 5 or something, and it says news 5. We can delete them. In fact, I want to delete these old ones because they don't have that link reference. Okay, these new ones do. All right, so the app is starting to come together. There's still a couple of things that we need to do. Namely, we need to build the whole analytics page there. Right now, it just says how many clicks, but it would be nice if we can display the number of clicks, let's say per day on a specific day, maybe a week going back or a month going back, something like that. And later on, what we need to do is we need to generate this web page here so that, we can share it with the users or display it on our Instagram or YouTube or whatever, Twitter. And on that page, we're going to have something like this without any of these kind of admin functionalities, but you're going to have all these URLs that are going to be clickable, and we're going to be tracking all of that as well. All right, so right now, let's work on the main analytics screen, and we're going to have some graph functionality as well so that you can visually see how many clicks you've had for a specific link on a specific day, etc., etc. And so what I want to do is I want to have a link that, in addition to editing this specific link, or deleting it, it's going to redirect to another page, and you're going to have some more information apart from these 2 clicks. So the way that we can do it is we can make this clickable. Okay, so the user can click on this 2 clicks, or we're going to have another icon next to it or something similar to what we have here. And so the user can click on it and they're going to go to a separate page. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to create another page here. I'm going to create a blank page. I'm going to call it Analytics, create page, Analytics. And this page is going to accept the link reference, okay? Because it needs to know, what type of analytics to show you, okay? So we're going to come here, add our page parameters. This is link ref, and we are going to be doing document reference. Links required. Okay, so now we're going to be getting a link reference, and once we have that, we can actually pull the data, right? So we can actually do something like document from reference, right? We're going to say links, and we're going to do parameter confirm. Okay, so now we have all of that link information, so we can display it anywhere that we want. And typically you can do something like a row, center the row right here, make the text a little bit bigger, something like this, and this is going to be the name of the link. Link document, the name of the link. Okay, so Google News, whatever you called it. Next, we're going to create a chart widget here. Click chart, and this is a really nice chart that allows us to plot various types of data using various chart types. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bar chart, something like this. You can obviously change it to whatever you prefer. And here we need to set up our data source, right? So I'm going to be using a number list to keep it simple. And here we have bar labels and bar values. Now for the bar values, what we're looking for is we want to plot the number of clicks that this specific link got on a specific date. So let's say we're doing that 1 month from, date 1 to date 30th or 31 or 29 or whatever. And then what we want to see is we want to see how many times that particular link was clicked on a specific date, right? So this is going to be this bar values here. Now remember, we have that sub collection of all the clicks with the date and time, with the timestamp there. But in order to display them here, we're going to be displaying them by dates. And so this axis right here is going to represent the dates, right? So it's going to be day 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until 30 or 31 or whatever. And here it's going to be the number of clicks. So from 0 to whatever the maximum is, let's say 10 or 20 or whatever. And so what we need to do here is, because we have a timestamp, we don't really care about the time, right? We only care about the actual day. And so we need to remove the times, and we just need to get the dates. And that way, if we have, let's say on a specific date, let's say the 1st of the month, there were 5 clicks. We don't really care about what times the clicks were. And so what you want to do is you want to have a list of clicks grouped by a specific day, okay? And you will need to do it via a custom function. So we're going to go ahead and create a custom function right here. Add function, and I actually had ChatGPT create this function for me. And so as you can see, this function takes in a list of timestamps and returns a grouped list of integers. Okay, so we're gonna change the return value to a list of integers right here, and the argument is gonna be a list of timestamp. Okay, date time list right here, and this is going to be a timestamp. All right, so here's our custom function that takes in a list of timestamps, which we have stored as a sub collection of each of the links, and it groups it by date, which is exactly what we need for the graph. Okay, so now we're going to go back. We're going to go to the chart, and we need to load the clicks. We need to have that data available. So we're going to do a backend query here. We're going to do a query collection. We're going to do stats. The value source is going to be from the link ref, and we don't want a single document. We want a list of documents. We want all the timestamp. We're going to say confirm. And so now if we come to this chart data here, for the bar values, we can go and find our custom function here, group by date, and we're going to pass in the timestamp. Like, so timestamps here, and we have the stats documents. Okay, and so these are the timestamps. And in fact, we can map the items here, item and lists, get document property, timestamp, confirm. And now we just get the timestamps from our list of documents, confirm. And now we have these bar values. Okay, so if we click here, we need bar labels, and we need to compile the function. Now for the bar labels, we're going to create another custom function that's simply going to return the days in that month that are going to correspond to the number of clicks. I'm going to come over here, create a new custom function here, and we're going to say get days. And this function is going to return a list of integers, and it's going to take in the current timestamp. Okay, we're going to say timestamp. This is going to be date time. Okay, and this is our custom function that's going to give us back a list of days for that specific month. We're going to come back here, click here, go back here, custom functions, get days. And here we're just going to pass the time just so that it can calculate the current month, which is what our set data is in right now. Now you want to also show labels, right? So if you scroll down, go to x-axis, and you can click on show labels here. And for the y-axis, you can also show labels. And I think this is a good idea. So this is going to be the number of clicks, and this is going to be our data here. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if this works. Okay, so let's go back to our home page, and we have this clicks. We need to make sure it redirects to our analytics page. So we're going to say navigate to analytics, and we need to pass some information. We need to pass the link ref. Looks good. Let's go back to the analytics page. We have name, a bit of padding from something like this. Okay, it looks good. Now let's see if it works. Let's go ahead and start a new session. And so as you can see, we have 2 clicks on the 17th, which is today actually. And if we go to our database right here, we can see that we have 2 clicks and they're both on the 17th. So let me go ahead and add another click, and I'm going to add it on another date, and then you're going to see that reflected automatically. So I'm going to add a new document here. What is it? Add a new document, timestamp, and let's say this is the 19th. Let's click save. Now we have 3 documents, 2 on the 17th, 1 in the 19th. Go back and it's automatically refreshed. And now we have 1 click on the 19th. Okay. And obviously we can change some of the things. We can change the way it looks. We can change the spacing. Let's go ahead and adjust some of the UI stuff with this chart so that it looks a little bit tidier. So there's some bar spacing here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. We can make it something like this. How about 2? There's bar width. We can make it bigger. So how about something like this? Let's go ahead and reload that. All right, 3 clicks, click on this. And as you can see, it's a little bit tidier, but we still need to make it even more tidier. Let's do that. Let's make it bar spacing 1 and see how it looks. Okay, let's go ahead and reload this. All right, 3 clicks, click on this. All right, so here's the app. As you can see, it's a little bit tidier. We still can't fit everything together, right? Because there's a lot of data here. So there's a couple of things that we can do. One is that we can remove this whole thing altogether and just list the name of the month, okay? The current month, for instance. Another thing that we can do is we can space it. So we can put 1, 5, 10, 15, etc., spacing it every 5 days instead of listing every single day. And so it's really up to you which method you want to implement. Personally, I will just remove the bottom legend right here. I don't think it's really necessary. We can just display the current month and be done with it. And you can easily do that by coming here, and you want to remove this legend right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way down, go to our x-axis, and what we want to do is remove the labels. Okay, so now if you reload it, it's going to be a lot cleaner. All right, there's the app. Click on this, and as you can see, it's a lot cleaner. And obviously we can just display the name of the month, and they're going to see all of that data. It's not going to be 2 and 0. It's going to be, various numbers. And the idea is just to get an overall picture of what's happening. Is there an increase in clicks, decrease, etc., etc. And obviously we can go back and we can click on any of these other links, and we should see a chart for that specific link again. Now, one final thing that we need to do is we need to have this kind of a page, but to have it available for the general public, meaning that the user has created this page. Now they want to share this page with others, right? Maybe on their social media profile. That way, it's going to display the links and users can click on it. So this is going to be the exact same functionality of this page, except it's not going to have any of the admin functions, right? So no add link, no edit, no, delete, none of that. So what we can do is we can just duplicate it right here. We're going to duplicate it and we're going to call it public. Okay. And so we want to remove all of this and we want to change how this looks. So we're going to delete clicks. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete this column. The only thing that we need is just the name and the URL. And so this name is going to have a click action. We're going to navigate to our Go page, our Go URL, and we're going to pass the link reference here. So that page can figure out what to do with it, right? So we're going to go in here and pass the link reference right here. And then you also want to make it bigger. Let's see if we can make this something like this. That looks kind of cool. And let's remove the spacing. Let's change the spacing a little bit, something like this. Okay, maybe something like this. And now we have a list of links, okay? Now, another thing that we need to do is if you go to the public and we go to route settings, right, we need to make sure that this does not require authentication. It's just public. And our home page requires authentication, right? This requires authentication. This is a login page. Analytics requires authentication. Go URL does not require authentication, right? Because this page needs to be accessed by everybody. And so now we have this public page and the user can share this page. And in order to share it, we need to actually launch this app. So we're going to go to settings and integrations, web publishing. And what we want to do is we want to launch this app. We're going to enable web and we're going to go to web publishing and we're going to give it a domain name. So I'm just going to call it link tracker. And we're going to say publish. Wait a few moments for it to publish and we're going to have the whole app up and running. All right, so our app has been published. Let's go ahead and check it out. This is our app on the internet, and we obviously need to log in. Let's go ahead and log in, signing in. And these are our links. Okay, so now we can click on this link and we can see some information, right? This is the name of the link. We're seeing some data here. And we can also click on this link and guess what? We are redirected to the site and it also tracked. We have 4 clicks here. Now remember, we also created a public page, right? So if we go into public over here, we should have a public page here. And this is our public page, okay? So if we click here, we're gonna go to the link. We click here, we're gonna go over here. And this is the page that you're gonna be sharing with others, right? Because this is a public page. And that is because if I open this page in an incognito window, I will be able to see the content, okay? Because this is not a admin type page, right? This is a public page that you're going to be sharing with others. And obviously you need to change the home page to something else, maybe the name of your page. But if I go to the actual dashboard, I will not be able to load it. So if I go to one of my internal pages, let's say this home page, right? This is this home page right here. It requires authentication, right? So if I put home page, I will be forced to log in. As you can see, it redirects me to log in. And so as you can see, that way you can share your public page with others, but they won't be able to modify any of the information there at all. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, you definitely know what to do. This whole app is going to be available on my Patreon page. And we have a truly amazing community over there. It's a rapidly growing community with some amazing people sharing some amazing tips and tricks. And so if you are serious about your no-code journey, you want to build amazing apps, you want to build apps that, maybe others have told you that you can't build, because some people told me that I can't build this kind of app with Flutterflow. Well, as you can see, you can definitely build these kinds of apps, and you can build all kinds of apps. And in fact, all my apps that I built on this channel, they're going to be available from my Patreon page, along with other content such as Q&As, live streams, behind the scenes content, and our Patreon supported masterclass series where I do a deep dive on specific topics that the community votes on. So if you're serious about building apps, you definitely need to become a member of our amazing Patreon community. And you can do exactly that by clicking the link in the description below the video. So I definitely hope I see you inside of our amazing community. Now, if you want to see more comprehensive app building tutorials where I build a particular app, I'm going to have a link to an entire playlist right there for you to enjoy and learn from.